Why does the signal keep fighting me here? So unfortunately, I couldn't make a video inside the historic Willard Hotel. So we're gonna try outside the historic Willard Hotel. And I hope everyone can find me. I think everyone who usually watches me and follows my streams knows that this happens quite frequently. So hopefully you'll look for the take 2 video. This is the historic Willard Hotel in Washington, D.C. We're just a few steps. It's okay. People belong in videos too. We're just a few steps from the White House. And today we're going to take a walk, adventure, checking out some of Washington, D.C.'s historic hotels. And we're going to start here at the Willard, which is now the Willard Intercontinental Hotel. Many years ago when it was first founded, it was called Willard's Hotel. We'll go across the street and get a better look at it. And we hope the signal will hold. No, please go ahead. People belong in videos. Check out these planters. Gorgeous. The Willard Hotel is located on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. Just a few steps from the White House, and here on Pennsylvania Avenue, you can see the Capitol building. We'll cross the street to get a really great view of this beautiful historic hotel. It's about 90 degrees on a Tuesday night. It's about 90 degrees. Not too humid. It's a good night for a walk after work. Hello, MR Line. Very nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Now, across Pennsylvania Avenue, what I'm facing here is the World War I Memorial. And I'm not going to visit there because this trip is all about historic hotels. Now, in the distance, not in the too far distance, hi Lily in Ukraine. Great to meet you. So that very tall building there is the former post office building. And that is part now of the complex that is the, Waldorf Astoria. Couldn't think. Waldorf Astoria Hotel, but it's not a historic hotel because the building itself was the post office building. So we won't call that an historic hotel for our purposes today. Check out the beautiful blue sky we've got today. Sunshine. There's a Marriott across the street, but this is the one we want to look at. And I'm going to back up a bit so we can get a really good view of this beautiful historic hotel. This is the Willard Hotel. In the old days, it was called Willard's Hotel. It wasn't this tall, but this building dates back to the 1800s. This building was here during the Civil War and predates the Civil War in the United States. And it's an absolutely fabulous, luxurious hotel. I am so sad because I began this stream in the hotel and there was no signal. So I began this stream. I wanted to look at the beautiful ballrooms, the amazing carpeting, all the decor, and sadly, I'm so sorry that it didn't work. The stream just did not work. So my first stream cut out. I hope some of the folks who were waiting, I saw some of my usuals, who I love very much, waiting for that stream, and I'm so sorry that stream doesn't work. But I think those who follow me regularly know that this happens quite frequently, depending on where I am. Hi, Dominic. Great to see you. So a few weeks ago in the evening, I took a walk around the historic theaters in Washington, D.C. And tonight I thought I would hit the historic hotels. And this is the first one on our list. This is the Willard Hotel, known now as the Willard Intercontinental. It is on my bucket list of places that I want to stay someday. I'm so sorry I began the stream. Salzburg, Austria, Philip, very nice to meet you. Wow, that's on my bucket list too, Austria. I'm so glad you're joining me. So the Willard Hotel is here on Pennsylvania Avenue, the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and 14th Street in Northwest Washington, D.C. It's just a few steps from the White House. And you can see the American flag here, and you see the flag of Maryland over there. We're going to walk around the building, and we'll check out several historic hotels on this little evening tour. So let's get started. And I began in the hotel after having a nice little cocktail, but the signal died. So there was no signal in the hotel. We can meet in Vienna or Salzburg or even Innsbruck. Hey, I'm all for it. Philip, I'm there. Hello, Eileen. Nice to meet you. It is such a nice night. It's 90 degrees. It's hot. This is hot. But it's a blue sky evening in Washington, D.C. It's just, we're about an hour from a good sunset. So we'll take a nice walk around some historic hotels. And we'll even walk past the White House, which is actually our next stop. Thank you, Dominic. That's so kind of you. Hello, Juan. Juan, where are you joining us from? Urital? Is that Italy? Very nice to meet you. Oh, what was that? Well, that's interesting. A little old. You never know what you're going to find here. You know, old cars, old people. You never know what you're going to find here in Washington, D.C. But you will always find beautiful history and historic architecture. And that's what I'm all about. If this is your first time joining me, hi. Thanks for finding me. I do little historic walks at least one evening each week and one morning each weekend. So Saturday or Sunday, and usually a couple of, or at least one evening during the week. I live and work around Washington, D.C., and so I get the opportunity frequently to walk around and admire the amazing architecture and history that this city holds. I'm on Pennsylvania Avenue right now. Chile. Juan, it's so nice to meet you from Chile. Thank you for joining. Roberto, very nice to meet you. Now, I do apologize if I do aim into the sun. It's just about that sunset hour when I might be in the sun a little bit. So I apologize if that happens. But we'll take a look back from this angle on this, I can't keep saying amazing, fabulous, what other words for this beautiful hotel. It just looks like a hotel. It screams hotel. If I like beer, Philip, I love beer. We're on. It's definitely a date, Philip. Hi, technical support. Hi, Pickety Witch from Yorkshire. Holocron, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Holocron. You knew what happened. I got in there. I was in the historic lobby with the beautiful restored architecture and wallpaper and carpeting, and the stream died. No signal inside I was inside this beautiful hotel. Started to stream. So Holocron, thank you for finding me again. You are awesome. I do appreciate it. Hi, Walton Dog. Very nice to meet you. Ben, you got a notification today. I'm thrilled. Thank you. And you even found the stream that didn't happen because I started a few minutes ago and it died. I was inside this beautiful hotel. I did take photos, so I will post those on the community section of my channel page. So you'll get to see the amazing photos from inside. The Willard Hotel used to be called Willard's Hotel. It's here at the corner of Pennsylvania Avenue and 14th Street in Northwest Washington, D.C. And here you'll find beautiful, amazing ballrooms, architecture. Outside, there are plenty of restaurants, lots of things to do. Hi, Sergey. Very nice to meet you. Hello, Dominic. It's great to meet you. Now, this building, you'll see a difference in the architecture here. This is the Hotel Washington, which is right next door to the Willard Hotel. The Hotel Washington is a complete, that's okay, people belong in videos. It's great, thank you. Everybody's being so kind, but I want people in my videos. This is the Hotel Washington, and on a previous stream, I was streaming from the rooftop bar of the Hotel Washington here. This is the bar that overlooks the White House. So we're really close to the White House, and we'll walk over there and check it out before we go to our next historic hotel. We have 4 historic hotels on our list for our walk tonight, but who knows what else we'll encounter. We always find cool things. The bar, yeah, I've the rooftop bar up there, you can kind of see the awning, overlooks the White House. I was at the bar in this beautiful hotel, and that's when I couldn't get a signal. So I know, I'm missing all the bars. We're gonna cross over. This building in front of us, this is not the White House. This is the Department of the Treasury. Because when Washington, D.C. was planned, the closest building to the White House was planned to be the Department of the Treasury. Probably for obvious reasons. If you remember the musical Hamilton, I'm sorry, this little ice cream truck, hey, you get this in Washington too. You get great history, and you get food wagons, food trucks. But back to the Department of Treasury. If you saw the musical Hamilton, you know how important it was to have control of the money and control of the banks. So the Department of the Treasury is closest to the White House. If you come to Washington, D.C., the cabs are red, but these lovely tour cars are imitation historic touring cars, which are kind of cool. Hi, John Kelly. Not that I'm aware of, no. Hi, Kelly Stone. Very nice to see you. If you're walking around this area of Washington, D.C., which I'll call kind of the White House area up to the shopping district around like F and G streets, you'll see these medallions in the street, the extra mile, commemorating people who did good works. And I've done another video on those, so I won't hit those or concentrate on those right now, because we're talking about historic hotels. And this is the Hotel Washington. And this also, let's read the plaque, has been recorded in the Historic American Buildings Survey of the United States Department of the Interior. So that's not the same as the National Register of Historic Places, but it does recognize historic buildings. I'm walking a little fast because there's live music, and I want this stream to continue. Or not live music, but commercial music. So, because I want the stream to continue, I'm walking away from the music. Hi, Robin. Philip, yeah, Oktoberfest is like all the time though, isn't it? Is there any Ronald Reagan Museum in Washington, D.C.? Oh, wonderful question. So the sort of one commemoration to Ronald Reagan, there are 2. Our airport is called Reagan National Airport, so that's named after Ronald Reagan. And then there's a huge International Trade Center not too far from here that is called the Reagan Building. And I've visited that on a prior stream as well. So we're gonna walk north on 15th Street, parallel to the Department of Treasury building, and then we'll head up to the White House, and then some more historic hotels. I'm so glad so many folks could find my stream after it died. I thought they flew planes into that thing. No, not the White House. They tried. It's a whole other stream. Now, along the way in Washington, D.C., keep an eye out for restored fire and police call boxes like this one. All throughout Washington, D.C., you'll find art installations in these restored call boxes. What a great way to preserve history and to add a little bit of art. So this one is commemorating 1814 when the British were burning Washington, D.C. during the War of 1812. And it's saying that the British spared Rhodes Tavern. And we'll take a look at the plaque to Rhodes Tavern. But these art installations, it doesn't have one, usually have a plaque showing who the artist is. And we'll find these along the way. There's another view of the Hotel Washington, and this is a good one because you can see the painted plaster. I don't want to say plaster. I think it is painted plaster / stone on this hotel. With all of those Grecian forms, you know, those urns and different decoration, which is really interesting. And there's the back of the Willard Hotel. If we continued here, going east on, what is this, F Street? F Street, we would hit the Hamilton Restaurant and Nightclub, and I've been there too. I've streamed from the Hamilton. Love the Hamilton for shows. And my favorite band, Carbon Leaf, plays here. And then farther along on F Street is the historic shopping district. And if you're interested in historic department stores and that sort of architecture that's been preserved, then F Street is the place to be. And I've done a stream on that as well. I've done a stream on everything. But this plaque commemorates Rhodes Tavern, which was here on this site from 1799. It is no longer here, but this plaque tells you everything that was located here. It was raised in 1984. It was taken down in 1984, but this plaque commemorates its location at the time in 1984, the oldest tavern in Washington, D.C. Hi, Gail. Gail, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad you found the stream. Thank you for joining. We're walking north on 15th or 14th? 15th Street in Northwest Washington, D.C. I don't know why. I know 14th Street is a block away, but I always think this is 14th. This is 15th Street. This building here, you've heard me say it a million times, a bank is a bank is a bank. If you follow my streams, you know that in the United States, historic bank buildings all have the same elements. And they usually remain banks. So other buildings, department stores and clothing stores and other shops, they get put to different use. But in general, a bank is a bank is a bank. And this one was built in, let's practice our Roman numerals here. MCM, so 1905 to 1907, the Metropolitan Bank. And now it is BCG. So a bank is a bank is a bank. Oh, Kelly, I wish you were too. Are things looking safer? Yes. I find Washington, D.C. today to be very safe. It depends. This is not a political channel whatsoever. But the safety of this city depends on what party is in power. And I've worked here my whole life. It just so happens when the Democrats are in power, it's not a very safe place to be. When the Republicans are in power, it tends to be clean and safe. And that is not a political statement. It's just my many years of experience working here. This is the old Ebbett Grill, another historic structure and a historic restaurant that's been here for a very long time. You can check out the architecture on this one. I'm going to say that a lot today, that something's been here for a very long time, because we're in an area of Washington, D.C. that has been carefully and thoughtfully preserved for us to enjoy. Hi, Robert. Holocron, I know. Hi, Brian. Who's that beautiful woman? I do not know. Should I ask her? I do not know. There are beautiful people in Washington, D.C. Brian, there just are. Hi, Ben. When will I get monetized? You know? Okay. So this channel started because as I was doing my historic research, I needed a way to track where I was. I have a habit of traveling and taking thousands of pictures, and then a month later when I'm cataloging, I forget where I was. So I started making shorts to remind myself where I am. And then for some strange reason, I went live one day. Actually, I know what day it was. I did a complete architectural study of every embassy in Washington, D.C. And on the day that I went to the final embassy, I decided just for fun to go live, and people actually joined and watched me. And so since then, I've thought it was a really cool thing to do. If folks are interested, hey, I'm all for you joining me on my adventures. As far as monetization, it's not something that I've even thought about. Even if I have enough subs, I won't have enough watch hours, because most of my videos are those little tiny shorts I do all day long. So maybe when I retire, like 25 years from now, maybe this channel will be, monetized, and I can have some retirement money on that. Hi, James. I know, James, I do it all the time, right? And now, thankfully, so here's a great tip. Now I put the GPS on in my 35mm camera. I didn't even know you could do that. But now I have GPS on my 35mm camera. And of course, iPhones are easy, because you take a picture on iPhones, and if you double click it, it tells you where you are. It actually puts it on a map. And in my 35mm, I know I'm like 20 years behind. I know you all knew this already. But with the GPS on, I can click the metadata and know exactly where I was. But it was easier for me to start making little shorts to just say, hey, I'm here today. And for some reason, over 800 of you have decided to join me. And I just think that's so cool. So thank you. This one's one of my favorites. By the way, I'm a hobby historian, and I love architecture. Can you tell? This is a wonderful building. I don't know which one this is. On the other side of this building is the National Press Building. This might be part of it. But this one here, I love these buildings with the gold leaf domes on those cupolas. And there are 3 or 4 of them around Washington, probably more. There are 3 or 4 that I've videoed and done some research on. But this is another one, and we've hit it at about 40 minutes to sunset. So we're getting that amazing view of that gold dome. I'll say it again, a bank is a bank is a bank. This was probably an insurance company. For some reason, these kinds of buildings that look like this tended to be insurance companies, but now it is a bank. So I'll just hover here for a second and we'll adore that one. Thank you, Ben. James, you're a state house hobbyist. Okay, so Maryland's state house in the state of Maryland, my home state, is the oldest continuously operating state house in the nation. And I have done at least 1 or 2 live streams around the state house. Unfortunately, I think when I was there, it was undergoing some construction. But the Maryland State House is beautiful. And it's the oldest one. Jerry, hi, from Ireland. How fantastic. Kelly, you are just wonderful. I really appreciate it. Robert, I'm glad to hear that the pictures are clear, because I began this stream inside the amazing Willard Hotel and it died. And I lost the signal, which sucked because, and I usually don't use that word, so I'm sorry. But I was in there with the amazing restoration carpeting and wallpaper and furnishings. I did take photos, so I'll post those to the community chat. But that's enough time admiring this building. Let's head to the White House. Across the way here is the Milken Center, another beautifully preserved example of 1800s architecture. Now, Washington, D.C. is a planned city. It is a planned capital, which means it didn't just grow organically like London, that grew organically with kind of weird shaped streets. Washington was planned on a grid system by Pierre L'Enfant and Benjamin Banneker, established in 1790. The streets that run east to west are letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the streets that run north to south are numbers. And the streets that connect the important parts diagonally are states. So New York, Massachusetts, Louisiana, Indiana, Maryland. This is the Department of Treasury building, and that is not Alexander Hamilton, that's Albert Gallatin. So that's the Department of Treasury. Actually saw some tourists come up here and thought this was the White House. But I helped them go about a block further this way to find the White House. So James, Iowa, wow. That's really cool. HG, the roofs on the old buildings, nice detail. Yeah, so, and there's not one here. Many of the buildings, Washington's government buildings kind of fall into a few different categories. The oldest ones are these, kind of Romanesque, Greek Revival, classical, neoclassical. And then the late 1800s, you get that Second Empire look, which is the old executive office building, which we'll see in a minute once we pass the White House. That has that mansard roof. And then you get through some other periods with a lot of brick, and then you get to the brutalist period in the 1900s, 1960s, 1970s. And that's actually what I really like about Washington is the mix of architectural styles. The architecture is not the same. So there's a variety and there's always something new to see. I've lived here my whole life and every day I find something new. Thank you so much for all you do for us. We appreciate it. Always thank our law enforcement officers. Now, some people think that you can't walk up to the White House or the Capitol or the Supreme Court building, but you can, and I have. And some people think you can't video in those places, but you can, and I have. And I'm so sorry, I've lost my my jacket here. I'm trying to just get my jacket back on my arm. I am in a business suit and sneakers. Hi, High Roller Discs. Hi, Mimi. Nice to meet you. But yeah, we're walking right on Pennsylvania Avenue. Pennsylvania Avenue was closed after 1994, the Oklahoma City bombing. Pennsylvania Avenue was closed to protect, obviously, this important building. It was closed to traffic, but was opened to pedestrians. So we have this beautiful pedestrian walk. There are no cars. It's just a place to walk here. And many people do. Oh my gosh, past midnight. So it's good morning for you, Space Nut. I'm so glad you're here. Now, I've been here before. I've been here to the White House before. This is nothing new. But seeing it at different times of day, I've been here early in the morning. I've been here late in the evening. And now we're here just at sunset. So I'll stop a minute and put the phone through the fence, which I can do. And we'll get a good view of the White House. And there's always protesters here because we're in the United States, and that's okay. We encourage freedom of speech. That is okay. The only thing I don't like is if they start blaring music and I get a copyright claim. So here we are at the White House. It's about I don't know, what was that? 5-minute walk from the Willard Hotel. This is the north side of the White House, the front door of the White House. The official address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And yep, I'm as close as you can see here. This is not zoomed in. We're very close to the White House. On the south side, it's a little farther because the south lawn has, it's a bigger lawn. I've played softball on that lawn. It has ball fields on that lawn. White House Down, that's a good film, by the way. Hi, Speak the Truth. Great to meet you. We'll hang out here for a minute because the sky is blue, the grass is green, the White House is beautifully brilliant. And this is just a good photo. And we'll talk for a minute about where we'll go next. So our next stop, for those who just joined, we are visiting historic hotels in Washington, D.C. And we began with the Willard Hotel, and then the Hotel Washington, which is right next door. And now the White House, which is on our way to the next hotel, which is the Hay Adams Hotel. How often are they cleaning the exterior? Actually, when I walked down here, so I walked here from the stop that's going to be last on this tour is where I parked my car. And then I walked down here, and this contraption over here, this lift, was in front of the White House cleaning. So they do it quite frequently. It's just been put away just now, just before we got here. So they clean it and paint it very frequently. I mean, it just looks gorgeous. It does. This is not a political channel, but you have to admire the beauty of the architecture and the groundskeeping, by the way. Just check out the groundskeeping. See if we can get a little bit of a different view here. See if I can get the fountain in view. As long as there's no music here. There's always people here. You can be here at all hours, but I did learn that, I could be wrong, I think the lights go out at 10 o'clock. It's either 10 or 11, and I got here one time like 2 minutes before, and just as I was about to take a photo, all the lights went out. So 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, all the lights go out. I've been under the Capitol with my tractor trailer several times. Have you been? That's interesting. Hi, High Roller. Sorry. This is about, like, this is our nation. It's not about a person, right? The office is what we, what we respect, not necessarily the people. So this is not a political channel. This is all about architecture and history. And there's a lot of history here in this building for sure. There's a lot of people screaming behind me because we have free speech, and so you can protest, and that's a great thing too. Hello, Anne. Very nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here. Glad to see so many people joining the stream. I almost can't leave this little view. No, Speak the Truth. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. It's Romanesque, Eddie. You know, it's classic, right? It takes the classic Roman and Greek styles for this beautiful building. I'm protesting. I'm glad you are, speak the truth. This is not a political channel, but you can protest all you like. And just a beautiful view of the flag here. Let's just get a beautiful view of the flag. Now, from the White House, if we walk north, this park here is Lafayette Park. And there are, this is where it's confused. Whoa, okay. Be careful of steps. So this is Lafayette Park. Generally where folks protest. It just is. It's the protest place. And it's okay. And here in this park are monuments to the Marquis de Lafayette and to Rochambeau. So those military leaders who came and helped the United States during our war for independence. Now this big monument here, this is not Lafayette. Lafayette's in the corner over there. It's called Lafayette Park, but that's not Lafayette. And that's Rochambeau down there. So who's this dude up here? Well, let's go see. Hi, Darren. No, it's really quite safe here. It's very quite safe here. But I am always careful of my surroundings. What I'm not always careful about are these brick and cobblestone streets. And I just missed a step over there and almost went flying. So yeah, I'm aware of my surroundings, but not always aware of what I'm walking on. So I'll do better. Screaming children are always a part of Washington, D.C., for sure. Oh, the sun finally went behind the buildings and it's just cooling off a tiny bit, which is wonderful. It was 90 some degrees today. And we'll turn around and get a different view of the White House here from the center of Lafayette Park. And yeah, it is that close. You can be that close. Hi, Art of Mind. Actually, it was after the Oklahoma City bombing that you couldn't be around this area, not 9/11. The Oklahoma City bombing closed Pennsylvania Avenue, and then it reopened to pedestrian traffic only. Oh my gosh, it's 1:15 a.m. and thank you so much. That is really so kind of you. Hey, Big Sky, I love K Street. K Street is like my home base in Washington, D.C., for real. We're gonna walk down K Street because, hey, speak the truth, let's not talk about that person for sure. Okay, so we're just gonna remove that comment there. This is not a political channel, and we do not want to be posting those names here. Thank you so much. We are touring historic hotels, and we began at the Willard Hotel, and then we took a look at the Hotel Washington, and this here, it is history, but it's not this history. Yeah, it's not this history, and that was not that person. It was a different person who did that bad thing. But I appreciate you joining. We're just going to keep it around architecture. This beautiful hotel is the Hay Adams Hotel. It's the next one on our list. And we'll get a really good view here. Yeah, I started out in the Willard and lost the signal, so thank you all for finding me again. But this is the historic Hay Adams, and I don't know much about the Hay Adams. I know about the other hotels here. We'll just call this, it's a historic hotel, and it is. And from that hotel, you get this amazing view of the White House, and behind it, the Washington Monument. So let me go over here so we can get the full view here. I don't even know what that means, Carl Williams burner, and I probably don't want to. I'm just here to look at that beautiful blue sky and the beautiful architecture here. And I thank you for joining. So these historic, I'll do the other side. These historic the churches, we're going to talk about churches on another walk, but we can't miss this one here. St. John's Church? St. John's Church. Bye. Goodbye, Carl Williams burner. I know. Actually, I think it's kind of funny. Cracks me up. It just cracks me up. We'll take a look at this while we're still waiting for the light to change. H Street, that's right, H Street. If we were to continue down H Street, we would get to Chinatown. And you can check out my video on Chinatown. But a lot of foreign dignitaries stay here at the Hay Adams. For obvious reasons. Because it's so close. A place of grace in our nation's capital. It's probably redundant for me to keep saying historic, right? This is historic, St. John's Church. But it is. It is. And there's the Hay Adams. We will continue. We're on 16th Street now. We'll continue up 16th Street on our way to the next historic hotel. And a big sign from our unions, the AFL-CIO. This is the national headquarters of the AFL-CIO. And here's a really, when the traffic moves, a really nice shot of the, well, sort of, with the traffic in front of the Hay Adams. Oh, I know, the Army Navy Club is right around the corner. So Meta, are you from this area? You've driven around this area thousands of times. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I have worked here, lived here my entire life. But every day I find something new. I definitely do. Oh my gosh, and there's finally shade. In Hamburg, our 7 main churches tower over most all other buildings. Just like DC, we basically outlawed skyscrapers. Yes! Yes, yes, yes. Darren, yes, yes, yes. Art of Mind, yes, yes, yes. Yes, so DC, as you can tell, we do have height restrictions on our buildings, which is so important for a lot of reasons. Number 1, for the aesthetic. Number 2, because our buildings aren't very tall, most of the streets are kind of wide, and there's a lot of green space. Washington, D.C. is a quiet city, even during rush hour. It's quite quiet because we don't have that funneling of noise due to tall buildings. Other cities have that. And I'm so glad you've joined. We're going to see quite a mix. You know, we've gone from 1800s architecture, 1700s architecture, 20th century architecture, 21st century architecture in a little bit. It all has a place here. The H Street Festival on September 20th. Is there an H Street Festival? I shall be here. A couple weekends ago, I was down on down by the National Archives building. Constitution Avenue, wait a minute, which one? Constitution Avenue. And it was the Great DC Barbecue Bash or whatever. I didn't know it, but we ran into the Great DC Barbecue Battle. DC Barbecue Battle. That's what it is. So yeah, whoops. Okay. Have to be careful. I have to stop doing that. Don't just walk out into the street. That's quite an artistic design there. What part of H Street is the festival? Yeah, I want to know. Tell me all about it. Hey, Smokey, nice to see you. Meta, you worked in the Army Navy Club back in the day. You met a lot of admirals and generals. Awesome. Well, if you served, thank you so much for your service. Do appreciate it. It is 7:23 here in Washington, D.C. And we've seen 1, 2, 3 historic hotels. We started at the Willard, the Hotel Washington. We just saw the Hay Adams, and we're about to see our 4th historic hotel just at the end of this block. But first, the Laborers International Union of North America building with flags and a beautiful garden. How nice. Brass doors. I mean, I love wrought iron and I love brass doors. That's quite nice. Holocron, do you remember what I told you about J Street? I think you do, because there is no J Street. There's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K Street. Rumor has it that those who designed and laid out the streets in Washington, D.C., or perhaps a president at the time, had a beef with John Jay, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and so did not want to name a street after the letter J to have it be confused with John Jay. That's the rumor. That's the story. Hi, Isabella. Great to meet you. Yeah, what is this? I do want to know, like, what is this? What is this building? We are on 16th Street. And, you know, I have to say, we've just passed by some historic architecture. And now we've found something artistic at the entrance of this building here on 16th Street between I Street and K Street, because there is no J Street. Ow, I just got bit by a mosquito. Oh, I hate when that happens. No, yep, it's not hiding. There is no J Street. There is no J Street. This is historic hotel number 4. And this is the St. Regis Hotel. Oops. And I am going to stumble and fall one of these days. Watch where I'm walking. So again, all the great and the good, and those who can afford it, who are visiting Washington, D.C., doing business here, doing the political stuff. This is one of those historic hotels. The St. Regis here on 16th Street. Again, just a few steps from the White House, which you can still see. There's no traffic here. I can walk into the middle of the street. Carefully. The White House. Oh, you can see a gentleman on the roof if you look really hard. The Washington Monument behind it, as I continue to be careful in the street. This is 16th Street. And this is the St. Regis Hotel, number 4 on our list of historic hotels. And let's take another look back here. This is what we find. This is the Christian Science Reading Room. Okay, now we know what it is. Christian Science Reading Room on 16th Street, just south of K Street. If we were to continue on 16th Street, up to the end here where there would be a traffic circle. This street would go under the traffic circle. At that traffic circle is the Embassy of Australia. And I did a long form video on the Embassy of Australia. I like that embassy. It's a good one. Latin was still very much a thing, especially in legal. Yes. Yes. No, I think it was all about John Jay. I really do. But yeah, I know I is J in Latin. Yep. All right, so that's the St. Regis. We will say goodbye to the St. Regis and make our way to our last historic hotel on this tour. And it's going to be a good one. We're going to the Mayflower. This is K Street. And we're walking west on K Street to Connecticut Avenue, which is a few blocks down. Connecticut is like around 17th Street. I think it's past 17th, so we'll go 2 blocks down. Hi, John. Nice to meet you. Yeah, it could be that too. Sometimes what do they say? If the choice is between the truth and the myth, print the legend. It's like an old newspaper saying, or maybe it's fictitious. I don't think it's like from Citizen Kane or anything, but you know, this old newspaper saying, if the choice is between the truth and the myth, print the legend. In other words, make it even more flowery to make it sell. And this is the headquarters of the American Legion. So on a prior stream, we passed the headquarters of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And this is the American Legion building. Kind of interesting. Very interesting awning way there. Oh, look. And the kind of the flowery motif goes up the side of the building there. Well, there's another one for today, something I've never seen before, despite living and working here all the time. Not a political channel, my friend. Speak the truth, I do appreciate you, but I think we've had enough. So I'm so sorry. Hi, Anon. Sorry. We're in Washington, D.C., and we're touring historic hotels today. We started at the Willard, then went to the Hotel Washington, then the Hay Adams, just now the St. Regis, and we're going to finish our tour a little ways up here at the Mayflower Hotel. And we're going to see if I can stream from inside the Mayflower, because I could not stream from inside the Willard because the signal died. No one was stopping me, but the signal died. Darren, I appreciate that. It's hot, but it's not too oppressive. It was in the 90s today, but it's been, I'm going to use a word probably doesn't exist. It's been humider. It's been humider. It's not so humid today. Now we're going to head up. Ooh, sorry for the sun. We're going to cross carefully. Oh, we have 23 seconds. We can do that. I'm sorry if the stream bounces, but I've got to run. No one yields to people in crosswalks anymore, that's for sure. All right, we'll stop here. This is like a 5-lane street. We'll stop here and wait for the light. This is Farragut Park here in Northwest Washington, D.C. We haven't talked about metro stations because kind of immediately around the White House, there are no metro stations really close to where we were. But this is Farragut North. And if you visit Washington, D.C., this is a good stop if you want to visit the White House. Another one would be like the Smithsonian stop. And that way you would walk across the National Mall to get to the south side of the White House, the South Lawn. Anon, they never stop. Hello, this is Washington, D.C. It is clean. It is clean. Washington is clean and safe. And I wish everyone would visit because it's amazing. Thank you for joining. If you like historic architecture, if you like to wander, please consider subscribing to my channel. I go on little adventures at least one weeknight a week and at least one weekend morning. And this has been a fantastic stream because I haven't encountered any music. We sometimes have some problems when I encounter music. Now, you've heard me complain on past streams about the sad state of our metro system. The stations are not artistic whatsoever. You go to London, you get these old buildings that were train stations or, purpose-built underground stations. In Paris, you get the beautiful Art Nouveau around the stations. And in DC, this is what you get. I do like the markers. This is how you find the metro. The M tells you it's the metro. And the band, the color band under the M tells you what line. So this is the red line, the Farragut North Station. But this is the building. And the reason why, there's a good reason why our metro is so ugly. And I say that with love. It's because it was built in the 1970s. So all of the buildings in Washington, D.C. already existed. And so the metro had to be built under existing architecture. So there's really not a chance, except for brand new stations, to make them look beautiful. Unfortunately, even the brand new stations, I think, are architecturally boring. They all look the same. They're quite hideous. Totally hideous stations. But what can you do? When the architecture's already here and you have to tunnel under the building, this is all you can do. Yeah, Metro Center, I love the area. This is the thing. I love the areas. I love the fact that DC's Metro gets me everywhere that I need to go. But having traveled through Europe, it's very disappointing, right? You can't compare. I love the iconic pillars, though. I do love these iconic pillars. We'll take just a really quick look south on 17th Street before we head to the Mayflower. Now, this is the business district. K Street used to be known as the Attorney's Avenue. This is where all the big law firms are, all around this area. So, more modern architecture, for sure. Elegant? Yeah. Boring? Just a tiny bit. The H Street Festival is a 14-block festival that features 14 themed stages with live music, poetry, fashion. Whoa! Big Sky, thank you for that information. I think we're going to check that out. I appreciate that. Yeah, Meta, you know it. New York Avenue, right? New York Avenue heading into Maryland, heading onto Route 50. I feel so bad when I see families with young children, like checking into those hotels on New York Avenue, because there's a Marriott there and there's a La Quinta there and there's, oh my God, those hotels. So for those of you visiting Washington, stay away from Northeast New York Avenue. Okay, just saying. Now, Northwest New York Avenue, better. Northeast New York Avenue, stay away. What Meta said. What he said or she said, that's the thing. Now here on Connecticut Avenue, around K Street, also used to be and still is kind of the high-end shopping district. It's an interesting building across the way there. So some of the high-end clothing boutiques and shops were, and some still are, located here in this area. There's a Sephora over there. That's all I really see. Yeah, stay off the east side. Seriously, like you always see me normally in Northwest or yeah, I'm probably being unfair. Every city has its places to be careful of, right? Just know your surroundings and don't stay in hotels on New York Avenue. Just don't. And watch my videos and find out where the good places are to stay. Yeah, the vendors were all over downtown. Yep. I hope the stream's okay. I was really upset when I was in the Willard Hotel and the stream just died. So we're almost to the Mayfair, and I will go in the Mayfair. If the stream dies there, I will say my goodbyes now. We'll see. We'll see if it survives. And if it does, we'll get a little review of the Mayfair. And this is another entrance to the same station. This is also the Farragut North Station. Again, another boring entrance under an existing building. But when you build your metro station in the 1970s, that's what happens. The city has already been built. There's not much choice. And that's a good view. Thank you, Holocron. I appreciate that. You don't even go to Georgetown anymore. Oh, on my most recent Georgetown stream, I love Georgetown. In the first 2 minutes of the stream, there was some pew-pew happening, if you know what I mean. And you can hear it clearly on the stream. And I did not know what to do. I'm just like, oh, there's firecrackers going off. Oh, it was not. It was definitely some pew-pew action happening. We're walking up Connecticut Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. Let's take one more look at this one. Modern architecture, but done very well. Don't mind that. Connecticut Avenue is one of those really wide streets. I mentioned that the streets that run east to west are the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the streets that go north to south are numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, blah, blah. But to connect big traffic circles and other important places across the city, the planners put in diagonal streets, and they named the diagonals after states. So Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Louisiana, Nebraska. Most of them are diagonal, some aren't. Like Wisconsin is not really a diagonal. But the streets named after states connected really important places. Helped you to avoid having to kind of, not zigzag, but kind of like, I will call it etch-a-sketch your way through Washington, D.C., if you know what I mean. If you're in a grid pattern and a lot of the streets are one way, then you have to etch-a-sketch your way through. So those of you who are a little bit older will understand what I mean. This is the Mayflower, and this is Edgar's. And this is where we're going to attempt to go. Another historic hotel. Daryl! Daryl, we're just kind of near the end of the stream. We're going to attempt to go in the Mayflower. The stream might die. When I went into the Willard Hotel, the stream cut out immediately. So if the stream dies, I'll say goodbye to everyone now and say thank you so much for joining. We are here on Connecticut Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. This is our 5th historic hotel that we're visiting today. This is the Mayflower. And we're going to try to go to the Mayflower, and we're going to try to go hang out at Edgar's. And we'll see if we can. And I may, if there's music playing, I may just have to cut the audio for a moment. Hi, good afternoon. Evening, actually. It's good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much.
How was your day?
It was wonderful. Thanks for asking. All right, well, we've made it, but there is music. So I'm going to say a great big thank you to everyone who joined me today. I'm going to talk rapidly over this music. I'm going to let you see this beautiful, beautiful lobby in the historic Mayflower Hotel. I have stayed at this hotel, by the way, at the historic Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. To everyone, I hope you have a fantastic evening. I'm not sure where I'll be this weekend, but I will probably be out exploring. Everyone, have a great week. Take care.